opportunity, and we want to know about Stuyvesant. What do you like? What do you not like? How do you get there? These are parents of young children who used to be you a few years ago. Did you take the subway? Did you get mugged in the subway? We want to know the truth about what the experience of going to Stuyvesant High School is really like. And we also, if you've heard things, you've heard rumors, this is your opportunity. Ask any questions you have about the school. And before we do that, can we go over each person? Let's start from middle school. What borough do you live in, each of you? 1, 2, 3, go.
All right. Hi, my name is Untitled, and I live in Queens and Woodside. So I was commuting to Townsend by train, subway. And I went to PS 122 Middle Schools for a gifted program in Astoria. And then I went to Stuyvesant High School, and yeah, I'm going to Macaulay Honors at Hunter now.
Macaulay Honors is a free program, part of Queens College, where you are awarded a full 4-year scholarship, a free MacBook Pro, and you get $7,500 a year towards studies, and you even get free grad school tutoring and test prep, which I hope you choose this provider. With that being said, can you go on? Next person, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Cindy.
Please speak as loudly as you can.
My name is Cindy Chan.
Go right ahead.
I grew up in Elmhurst, Queens. It's nearby, and I went to school in IS5. And then I commute to Stuyvesant by train, and now I'm going to NYU.
My name is Sean. I live in Manhattan, and I went to middle school in Salk. I went to school by train, and I'm going to go to Bucknell in the fall.
Great, so now that we've gone through middle school, we want to talk about the high school experience. My question to you is, when you started Stuyvesant, so I'm going to begin, and then I want the parents to take over, okay? So pretend that you're obnoxious like I am. I really want you guys to take over. So here's my question. You go into Stuyvesant, you're this big. What's it like starting Stuyvesant? Do you just fend for yourself? Do you wander in the halls? Do you start crying? Do you throw up? What's the experience like? We really want to know, what's it like to start grade 9 in Stuyvesant High School with 4,000 kids?
Okay, so I came from, my middle school was around 80 students. My graduating class from middle school was around 80 students, so when I heard that Stuyvesant was 10 floors, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to get lost the first
10
day.
floors.
It's like 800 kids in my class, it's 4,000 students, the whole school. I was really afraid, and then I came on the first day, and I made friends immediately. Everyone was really nice. The teachers were extremely helpful, so it wasn't at all what I expected, but I expected something, a little scarier than it was, and then it turned out to be really great for me. So that was my first day at Stuyvesant.
On my first day, I know I got lost, but I just asked the upperclassmen around, and they were really helpful. I was kind of afraid because it was really intimidating to go into such a big school. But all the teachers and all the upperclassmen help each other and help the students settle into our first day. So it was really nice. We had some big sibs come into our homeroom, and they basically just show us around and tell us what we need to know.
I also went to kind of a small school. I was a little bigger than Otilia's, but on my first day I also got lost trying to find art appreciation on the 10th floor. But after asking around for a bit, teachers and students, I managed to find my way. And in general, it might be a little difficult transitioning from a small school to a big school, but after a while you get the hang of it, and it was a pretty quick transition for me.
So I just have a couple of more questions, and then I'll let you guys take over, I promise. Before you actually start Stuyvesant in September of your freshman year, is there any support, or do they just throw you into the building?
Yeah, there are a few workshops. They're called Big Sig workshops, and
Big Sig workshops. Okay.
Big Sig, what they basically are is that you are in a homeroom and you're the little sibs, and then you have a few upperclassmen that are your homeroom leaders basically, and they tell you about the high school. You have a few, on the first days you meet them, you play games, you get to know everyone in your homeroom, so you make a few friends, and this is in, I think, August. And also in June even, I think there's 1 or 2 open houses, there might be one in June.
They show you around Sty after you get accepted.
Yeah, and also if you're on any sports teams, I know this was for me, I was on the swim team at Stuyvesant, and we started practicing in August, so that's where I also made a few friends. So if on any fall teams, you make friends there, and then, yeah, so it's good.
Yeah, what Atilia said, I think they call it Camp Sty for our homeroom. Basically, you just meet all your big sibs. You get about like 5 of them, so you get to know like people with different interests, and it also helps you learn like what you might like in Sty. They play like icebreaker games with you, and they basically also give you like little handbooks that help the students like guide their way around the neighborhood as well as the school.
And the neighborhood is Tribeca, so no, you're not going to get mugged on the train. It's it's an extremely safe neighborhood. Yeah, there's a huge park next to it, which is a lot of Stuyvesant students hang out near after that.
Yeah, so the big sibs really help you transition, and they stick
You don't
with
mind going a little bit louder, because I want to make sure.
yeah, so they stick with you for all the homerooms, even before school starts. And personally, I was on the baseball team, and we started like late September, so I got into it really early, and that was a great way to make friends as well. So
These two children having
clubs, teams are a good way to make friends, and also these big sibs help you make the transition really easy.
Yeah, and the big sibs help you throughout your freshman year, so it's not just
For 2 years as your underclassmen.
So when you're in the school, you have a big sib, each person. Hi, I'm okay, I'm good. So when you're in the school, you have a big sib, correct? And that person gives you mentorship, guidance. What happens if, my question is, what about the competitiveness of the school? Because the 3 of you didn't know each other getting in, correct? So how did you enter a school with all of that student body being so bright, so smart, and so scary? So how did you handle something like that as freshmen starting the school?
So my middle school wasn't the most competitive middle school, so
Which one was it again?
Salk.
Salk, okay, Manhattan.
Yeah. And going into it, I had worries about like all the pressure and stuff, but it's not necessarily like a cutthroat competitive environment. It's more of a supportive environment where you're encouraged to do well because others also are encouraged to do well. So it's more of a cohesive network of everyone helping each other out instead of everyone trying to climb on top of each other to get the better grades.
Yeah, there are a lot of like co-study opportunities. There are a lot of tutoring opportunities from Stuyvesant. And you know, just in general, the competitive environment, you didn't really feel that when you were in, like within your friend group or within the general student body. You kind of felt more of a motivating factor. You know, you saw your friends staying up late doing the project. You saw your friends studying up late, and then you're like, maybe I should study too. Maybe my friends and I can study together and, you know, do well together. And then, yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah, I was kind of intimidated at first because there are so many like bright students. So like it pushed me to work harder, and I think that's what STY is all about.
Yeah.
Kind of the environment, yeah.
I think what's really good about Stuyvesant is that it's not only about just studying, not only about getting good grades, but it's also about the extracurriculars. There are so many club opportunities, so many, you know, there's newspaper, dance, whatever, sports, whatever, you know, you really want to do, there's opportunity for you. And you could also start clubs and teams, so, yeah. I know this year, for example, our friends started a table tennis team, and then they won the PSAL championship. So they just started it, and suddenly they're first place in the city. So I think what Stuyvesant really has is that as the kind of environment to succeed. So,
Yeah, there's like a lot of creative freedom in STY. You get to like go around and see what everyone does, and you get to explore all kinds of sports or extracurriculars in and out of school. Some people also like meet on the weekends to do like different hobbies, or some are like after school. And there are like many PSAL teams that students are involved with too.
So does anyone have any questions? I know Francis left, so anyone? Questions, comments, concerns?
Do you guys have any Stuyvesant questions? This is the time, let's go.
I have a question.
What was the least thing that you liked about Sty? What if you were to change something? What would you change?
I don't know. I guess it's a really big building, so that's a little annoying to get up and down the floors.
Yeah. I feel like they don't give us enough time to go up and down. It depends on where the classes are, but our escalators break down a lot. A fan, serious.
Is it true that they make the students very, very busy over there and you have a lot of things to do?
I mean, just from the caliber of the school, you're gonna have a lot of stuff to do, but it's not to the point where it's overwhelming. Like, if you don't have good time management skills, then you might find yourself staying up late too much. But if you can get on top of your work or on top of your studying and really just buckle down and do your stuff when you have to do it, then it won't be as much of an issue as people put it to be.
Yeah, it's definitely about time management. Like, that's one of the things that many of the students have to adjust into. Because in middle school, you don't really get much work, but in high school, especially at STY, there's like a lot more that they expect from you. So it might be tough like your first few months, but I think students like get used to it after a while. And you definitely have time for extracurriculars or anything outside of it.
One more question. If the students are coming from out of country, not from the US, like they have studied like from the middle school, is it very, very difficult for them to get adjusted over there? Or
I don't think so. We have some students who came from like overseas and they still like excelled in school.
Yeah, I think a lot of teachers are reasonable, especially if, you know, you come in on the first day and you're like, hey, by the way, you know, I just came here, you know, I wanted to just let you know in the beginning, because I think, well, I never had a teacher that was actually unreasonable, especially with homework or anything. You know, it's all time management, and if you let a teacher know, you know, I have this problem, or like you want to work personally with a teacher, a lot of teachers, they will, if you go out to them and tell them and reach out to them and be like, hey, I need extra help with this, they will take time out, they'll let you know what free periods they have, if you want to email them or anything, so most teachers.
Like the guidance office is really helpful,
Yes.
so they can always reach out to their guidance counselors.
And then the guidance counselor can reach out to all the teachers and let them know that, so that's definitely.
You have a question?
Yeah, how many students in class per, like, on average?
It usually ranges from 20 to 30. Classes might be a little more than 30 at the largest, but
34 max.
yeah, that's generally the number.
There's some larger classes like music appreciation, but that's freshman year general class. But for depending on what elective it is, you know, there are some 20-something classes. Some classes are smaller, some classes are larger, 34. But I think in general, it's never been a problem that it's too many students in a class. You know, for English classes, most of the classes are in like an O shape to facilitate like a speaking and conversational environment.
Yeah.
And some history classes too.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Have any kids dropped out? Like, you see kids drop out like after ninth grade, say I can't handle it, and they go to a different school? Never hear that.
Not that we've heard of. I know that our like dropout rate is like really low. Most kids like adapt to it. I know that like in the first year, their students' grades might drop a little bit, but it's okay because like they'll learn.
It's not like an issue. I mean, there might be one case every once in a while, but you're gonna find that at like every school.
Yeah.
Once they're in there, it's like you throw you in the water, you're gonna swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Because
Ironically, you're a fool, yeah.
but out of 800 students, there's only so few that we don't even. I don't really know anyone
I don't
really.
know.
Yeah, I think compared to most other schools, Stuyvesant is a school most people choose to stay in. So the graduation rate is pretty high.
Does Stuyvesant have any like pre-med programs?
There are electives you can take senior year that have to do with medicine, or junior year.
Do they have any like starting the freshman year?
You can't start freshman year, mostly because you have to fulfill your requirements first until you can start taking electives. If you pile up on classes freshman year, then you might be able to take electives starting sophomore year, but it really depends on your schedule.
I know like Bronx Science has a pre-med program. It's like after school, and they teach you like basics, like sutures and basic skills you need to know for going into medicine.
They don't have that early on, but I know, like especially junior and senior years, you can take electives like medical diagnosis, even hospital internship.
Yeah, hospital internship. You do that outside of school. There's also human diseases. I know I have a friend who took molecular biology sophomore year, which is also a science class. There are a lot of science electives, a lot of AP classes for sciences. There's no exactly pre-med program, but most pre-med programs are just a lot of biology, chemistry, physics class, biology, chemistry classes.
And what
So.
about internships?
Yeah. Usually, if
Do they help you get internships?
Yeah, you can ask your guidance counselors, or you can, like at the guidance office, they usually have like a list posted. You can also ask specific teachers, because usually they know people outside of school. So if you just like work closely with them, then you'll be able to.
So one major thing is where I'm in a 3-year Junior Scholars Design Program with the National Design Museum and Smithsonian. And the way I found out about that is they send out a weekly newsletter with opportunities with, you know, internships, any programs, museums, kind of free programs that, or lightly, you know, not very costly programs. So that's where I found about my like 3-year internship, which got me more internships. So yeah, Stuyvesant offers a lot of opportunities. You know, you just have to reach out and look for them. And there's the bulletin, which
There's also the Parents Association. If you go to Mr. Plum, he usually has like different opportunities for students, but yeah.
But yeah, they really, Mr. Bolton, he's the one who sends out the weekly newspaper. He really tries to facilitate that for everyone. So.
Any other questions? I think another thing about that is, since it's such a big school, you also have to keep in mind that the teachers or counselors won't necessarily come to you and hold your hand and guide you through it. It's also part of you taking initiative, and if you reach out to people, then they're definitely going to help you, but they're not going to come to you and say, hey, do you want this internship? Hey, do you want to do this? You have to take initiative for yourself and make sure that you get the stuff that you need to get those internships. So.
Especially early on, I didn't realize that how big of a help my guidance counselor could be, which I realized that more junior, senior year. But those guidance counselors, speaking to your guidance counselor, like getting to know them early on is really important, especially because they're going to be helping you through the whole like college process. If you need any help, like I always go to my guidance counselors here. I've been there like every single week almost, just can I print something out here, that's one thing I should have done possibly more freshman year, which is important. So.
What grades are you guys in?
We graduated.
Where are we going to school again? Row by row?
Macaulay Honors at Hunter.
And? And?
Bucknell.
Yay!
Team. We have a handball team, and we have a female and a male tennis team as well. And we have a girls bowling team as well. No.
We have a volleyball club.
But not a team. Yeah. Any additional?
What is your ethnicity?
Sure. So we're about 60% Asian, followed by African American, Caucasian, and Hispanic. But the major dominant group, I would say Asian, comprising of Middle Eastern, Asian students, etc.
What was the acceptance rate to Ivy League schools versus?
I'm still compiling that data as we speak, so I'm not finished compiling the data. But
in the
prior years, I would say we've had at least in a graduating class, Kareem's class, for example, his valedictorian was at MIT. Kareem is going to Columbia. We've had students going to different schools, Brown, Smith, different one. I don't have the exact number right now, so I'm still compiling that data.
And college readiness score?
That's off the charts because of the many AP courses that we offer. So college readiness index, at least for our progress report, is pretty much at 100% because of all the AP courses that we offer. And we also offer College Now courses through CUNY.
Are predominantly most of the students from Queens?
Yes. We sometimes have a handful of kids coming from Brooklyn and from Manhattan, but the majority of the students are from Queens. Any other additional questions, comments?
How do we get there as far as public transportation?
It's pretty accessible by public transportation. It's the last stop on the E and J trains. And in terms of buses, 17, the 44, it's an actual hub for a lot of buses, and it's the last stop on the E and J trains, Jamaica Center. And the school is actually located around the corner from the train station. There's a pedestrian pathway which is around the corner from the train station. There are public safety officers who are posted on the pedestrian pathways, as well as along the paths of where the students have to go to the cafeteria and to the gym.
The exams, SHSAT, in 8th grade? Or?
Yes, so students can take that test in the 8th grade, usually at around October, early November, and also students can take it one more time in the 9th grade. So 8th and 9th grade, you have 2 chances. Yes?
In general, if you take the special education exam and you get, let's say,
Absolutely.
without losing your seat?
Absolutely. So we have some students, so like I would say, when we come back to school in September, late September, the guidance counselors usually get that information from the students to find out who wants to retake the test. And if they get into other places like a LaGuardia, or for example, or Stuyvesant, then they can easily transfer to that school. If they don't, then they can stay where they are without losing their seats.
So people lose their seat.
Correct.
In terms of the teachers, how many of the total teachers that grad degrees?
Every teacher there has grad degrees. We have 2 teachers there with PhDs. Yes. But every New York City teacher is required to get a master's. Any additional questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Representative from Townsend High School, but he's excited to speak right now. So we want to know, why would you sell your school? What does your high school have to offer us as parents? What can you tell us? And also, a lot of kids who get into Townsend Harris get into Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, York High School. Why would you choose Townsend Harris as a school? What does it offer? And tell us about where you live and your commute to school, okay? Let's go. Ready? Go right ahead. You guys okay? Sit right here.
Okay, I'll start about my commute.
Yeah.
I live in Astoria, so it takes about an hour to
Speak
get
as
there.
loudly as you can. Where do you live?
Astoria.
Astoria. You go to Townsend? Okay, good. And where's Townsend Harris physically located?
It's,
Is it on the Queens College campus? Do you see college students?
Yeah, it's part of the Queens College campus. If you look at the college map, it's part of it. And senior year, you get to take 2 classes, one humanities seminar and one elective at Queens College. Yeah, it takes about an hour to get there. When you come in freshman year, you have to take labs, so you have to come in an hour early once a week. Some of the requirements are you have to have above a 90 on your average in 7th grade.
What was the application process like for Townsend Harris? Did you just have a 90? What was your average? What was your attendance like? We want to know the truth. Tell us.
My average was a 94 point something, I remember. And you have to have 4s on both your English and math state exams. And my whole life, I kept them in 3s and 4s, but luckily 7th grade I got 4s on both. So that allowed me to apply. And there's we're not part of the specialized high school, so there's no test. You just have those grades and they take you into account. Do you have any questions?
How did you apply to that school?
There's an application just for schools that are not part of specialized high schools, and I put it as my top choice, and I got it.
This GPA was 7th and 8th grade?
Just 7th.
Just 7th grade?
And if you're applying for 10th grade, then they look at the 8th grade.
Only for core courses.
And you had 94.5, a little bit lower than 94, right?
Yeah.
Your friends, your classmates, what their GPA was?
Some of them were valedictorian, some of them had really high averages.
But what is the lowest?
Yeah.
I heard rumors that the standards are different.
Yeah.
No, it's the same. It just, in history, it was an all-boys school at first when it was first made, and then now there's just more girls than boys.
Because well, on 3rd and 8th grade, and they were really upset because there were higher standards.
I've never heard of it. Any other questions?
What should be the test scores for the EL and math for the
Sorry?
when you apply for 8th grade, what should be the test scores for the EL and math?
State test. You need to have both 4s.
Do they make exceptions? Like if it's a really high 3 and 1?
Yeah. Well, it's just either a 4 or either a 3. And maybe if you're lucky and not that many people apply and the ones who apply have both 4s, then they might take a 3. But I haven't heard some criteria. In terms of clubs, there are a lot of clubs, and for APs, there aren't that many APs, I have to admit. There's not that many science APs, and that's one of the things that I don't like about it. The only science APs they have are AP Chem, and now next year they have AP Bio. And they have a couple of science classes. They have organic chemistry, and I took that. That was a really good class. And in terms of, for clubs of science, they have a lot of clubs. They have Science Olympiad, they have the robotics team, and they have like smaller like newspaper. We have our own online newspaper, and that's also a club. And there's all tons of sports.
What about the sports?
They have sports and practice. We don't have football teams, but besides that, we have everything.
How many students are in the school?
300 per class.
Seventh grade?
Yes.
So like my daughter just finished seventh, so maybe it's too late for whatever grade has it.
Well, unless you want to apply for the 10th grade, so an incoming sophomore, then they look at only the 8th grade.
What is the GED? Is only fours?
Fours on all your state exams and above a 90 average.
Can you take classes at Queens College?
Yes, senior year you take one elective and one humanities seminar.
Oh, so they limit you,
Yeah.
but only senior year.
But I've heard people, if you have like freeze in your schedule, then I think they allow you to take another class.
Got it, and that's for free, right? Take classes
Yeah.
for free. Okay.
You said about 19 average?
Yeah.
In every subject or
Overall.
What, you graduated already? Or
No, I'm going to become a senior. Any other questions?
What do you really like about school?
I guess because it's really small, because I got into Brooklyn Tech, and one of the reasons I did not choose that is because it's smaller. Townsend Harris is a lot smaller, and you're kind of closer to your teachers because there's not that many. It's maybe in 20 or 25-ish students to teacher ratio. So
How about the workload? Is it heavy?
freshman year, you're gonna think it's a lot, and then sophomore year it's gonna be a little lighter, and then junior year you're gonna have a lot of work. But it's like, for me, I didn't think it was as bad as everyone was complaining because I didn't procrastinate. And of course, sometimes like I just left it off, but usually I just get everything done as soon as possible.
I want to go over some specialized high schools and mix it up. Some specialized and some really, really amazing schools that are not part of the famous specialized. I want you to know about the Baccalaureate High School. There's an entry point in grade 6 testing, and there's another entry point in grade 8 testing. 2 ways to get into this high school. So that's right. As of this year, they will be looking strictly at report cards for grade 8 admissions into grade 9. If you guys can take over this conversation, and then we will move on to the other set of schools. Okay? Go right ahead.
How you doing? My name's Josh.
And I'm Mohammed.
So I'm going to be a senior at the Baccalaureate School for Global Education.
And I graduated in 2012. I'm currently at NYU, double majoring in electrical and computer engineering with a minor in computer science and math. I'm going to be a junior next semester.
So the Baccalaureate School for Global Education is an IB World School. It is located in Astoria, Queens. The address is 34-12 36th Avenue, right next to the R train, about 2 blocks away. So the Baccalaureate School for Global Education was founded in 2002, so it's a relatively new school. 2 years ago, when we had our 10th anniversary, we were ranked the #1 top high school in the state of New York, number 21 in the nation. For those of you who don't know, IB stands for the International Baccalaureate. It's a worldwide program. It is recognized as one of the top academic programs in the world. It is also accepted all over the world. Okay, so most of your kids are going to be taking the SHSAT, right? That's correct. Yes. Okay. Excellent. Right. So as Francis mentioned, as of this year, we no longer offer a test for ninth grade admissions. Now what happens is that you submit an application, and the admissions board, which includes our principal, a couple of teachers, and the guidance counselor, choose out of those people who submit their applications solely based on standardized testing and grade point average.
It's not based on SAT?
No, it's not, because the baccalaureate is different from the SHSAT, because our main admissions are in 7th grade, when much like Hunter, we have a test from 6th graders take a test in January of 6th grade to get in for 7th grade.
So you don't have to take a test for 9th.
Not anymore. As of last year, we don't offer that anymore, only because we see that the students who come in 7th have an opportunity to take the SHSAT when they get to 8th, and we have found that less and less leave as the years progress. So it's just we felt that there's no point for a test anymore, because there's only very limited amount of spots, and they just decided to start picking
What
kids.
about overseas students, if they are coming?
Like international students? Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you have your transcript translated, then that's fine.
And it's actually better because the IB operates all over the world.
Yeah, so we prefer international students.
Yeah,
actually.
many different countries. So, yeah, and if they're coming from an IB school, it's even better because they understand what kind of program.
Well, actually, if they're coming from an IB school, then they don't even need to get accepted. They just transition straight through. So it works fairly well.
Right. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the curriculum that we have. So from 7th to 10th grade, your students will be a part of what the IB calls the MYP, or Middle Years Program. Basically, that program is getting them prepped into the IB, the diploma program, which is in 11th and 12th grades. From 7th to 10th, they will take all the general classes: science, art, history, English, all those classes that would be taken in any other middle schools. The IB program, when your students do reach 11th and 12th grades, they'll be accepted into the diploma program. They will take a series of courses, also the general ones, which include science, humanities, English, art, foreign language. We have a class that we call TOK, Theory of Knowledge, which is a philosophy class. It's solely IB that does this. You will not find this class anywhere else. Right, so these courses, so we have 2 levels of courses in the IB. The first is SL, Standard Level. For those of you who heard of the AP, Standard Level and AP are on the same academic level when it comes in terms of colleges and testing.
Except for math, because Math SL, which is what the school provides, is the same thing as Math AP, it's the same thing as AP Calc BC, which in terms of college credits, it's Calc 1, which is differential calculus, and Calc 2, which is integral calculus. So it's just a year of math that you skip in college.
Right. So then, as I was saying, so after SL comes HL, which stands for higher level. So higher level is above the AP because for the math course, as Mo mentioned, that it's higher than the general AP Calc. The three HL courses that we offer at the Baccalaureate School are English, History, and Art. In the past couple of years, the IB has started to stress art more and more. I'm not sure why. I just know that many kids now like to go to liberal arts colleges at the end of 12th grade. So the IB art program is a very vigorous program. In the beginning of 11th grade, we have to choose a topic and a theme, and for the next 2 years, we have to stick to that theme, making about 11 artworks a year. At the end of 12th grade, we submit 12 to 18 of those artworks to the IB, at which point they are graded, and that is our grade for the IB art. So in 11th grade, at the end of 11th grade, you take one IB exam. That IB exam is your science exam. You have a choice between chemistry or biology, and at the end of around May of your junior year, you will be taking that exam. I'm still awaiting my results. Those results are due come around mid-July. In 12th grade, you take the rest of your exams, which include English, history, math.
Foreign language.
Right, foreign language. Keep forgetting that one. Foreign language. What else?
Literature. Did you say that?
Literature.
Okay, so TOK. You don't forget your extended essay.
Right.
TOK paper.
Also,
there are a lot of components to getting the IB diploma, but it's well worth it because it's the most highly accepted diploma in the world. Usually not from baccalaureate because usually they're native New Yorkers, so they stay in the United States. But the diploma is accepted everywhere in the world. So I know that I knew a few UN kids because the UN school is also an IB school, or they provide the IB diploma. Usually students from that school go to Oxford. So it depends whether your kid wants to go abroad or not, or if they want to go into international colleges or not.
Right. So another component.
I know Zurich has probably one of the best engineering schools. Not that I would go, because I mean, come on, NYU. But yeah. So
anyway,
it's worth it.
As I was saying, so the test. So Mo mentioned the diploma that we offer. The IB diploma, if your students do get the IB diploma, your children, if they receive the IB diploma, that's 23 college credits. It's a college of their choice. That's about a year of college.
So a year's worth of tuition saved.
Yeah.
I was thinking it that way.
Basically, yeah. If you want to think of it like that. Right. So another component of to get the IB diploma is what we call the extended essay. In 11th grade, in the beginning of 11th grade, at the end of 10th grade, you choose a topic. We stress that it falls under history, literature, or art. My topic was the fall of the Soviet Union, just because that's like dear to my heart, and I thought I could write a good essay about it. So when I come back, I'll be submitting my essay in October. But Mo, you would.
Yeah. So I actually want to do math. You could pick the topic in any subject category. But I just want to do math. I actually want to do research in hyperbolic geometry. Not recommended for a 10th grader, but I took calc in 7th grade, so it didn't really matter. My instructor actually offered to help me with that paper, but I just realized that with the amount of work that you have to do as a baccalaureate student, it's not really worth picking.
I want to say thank you guys so much. Can we switch? I want to transition, so you guys have a minute to breathe, and then we're going to switch to the next school.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to say that I'm here every day, and I've introduced myself to all of your children. If they have any questions about baccalaureate school, I'm here every day. I work here.
What is your name?
My name is Josh. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here almost every day. Right now, I'll only be coming at around 1 o'clock, but I do see all of your children here. I'm here on the weekends. I'm here on the weekdays. The only day I'm not here is Friday. So if you have any questions, please let them know. I can answer any question about the school. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
So hi, my name is Nina. I graduated from Hunter College High School last year, and I will be attending the University Honors Program at the George Washington University, located in Washington, D.C. It's a top 50 college. I will be studying pre-med, so I'm looking to go into medicine. So just to tell you a little bit about Hunter, the entry point into it really starts in 5th grade. You enter into the school, actually enter into it, it's in 7th grade, so it's a 7 through 12 school, but the time you actually start preparing for this test, or for the school itself, is in 5th grade. So basically in 5th grade, your children will be taking New York State tests, the ELA, the math exam. Are you guys familiar with those tests? Yeah, getting some nods. Okay, so you have to score on certain percentiles on those tests in order to even qualify to take the Hunter test. So once you have hopefully qualified to take the Hunter test, you're invited to take it. And this is going to happen around like September, October. It's based on your 5th grade scores. And then you take the test in 6th grade in January, and depending on how you do, you are either accepted into Hunter or denied admission. So basically, the way that the test works is that there's 3 different sections. So you have multiple choice in English, multiple choice in math, and then you have an essay section. So you need to meet certain cutoff scores on the English and the math. What that is it changes every year because the test changes every year, so the curve changes every year. And then hopefully, once you've done well in those multiple choice sections, the essay becomes important. So if you do not meet the cutoff scores on the math and the English, or break those cutoff scores, then your essay isn't even read. So it's really important to make sure that the multiple choice is drilled in. But if they do get to your essay, it's read by a panel of 3 English teachers from Hunter, and basically you need to get a 3 out of 3 or a 2 out of 3 in order to get in. 3 out of 3 is obviously preferable, just because if more people at the school want you and they advocate for you, then they're just gonna want you more. So about 2,000 to 3,000 kids take this test every year, and only 185 seats are open for admission. So that's also why you want to test on the higher end of the multiple choice and the higher end of the essay, because those are going to be the kids that are at the top of the list. There is a waiting list if a few kids decide to deny their admission or deny the offer for admission, but most kids don't. So, because I don't think your year had any. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so actually, if you don't get in, they tell you your score. If you do get in, then they don't tell you your score. Because, everyone did well because they got in. And they're hyper-competitive. So they just don't want you, starting off the school year that way. But in terms of the actual life of the school and, what it's going to be like to attend Hunter, I'd say that it's an amazing experience. I actually thought about transferring to one of the specialized high schools, to Stuyvesant specifically, but I opted not to do that because Hunter is a 7 to 12 school, so your experience through it is much more cohesive. When a school has that much time with a child, they have the ability to build a curriculum, create a curriculum to put the child through for 6 years. And the more time you have with a kid, the more you can accelerate the curriculum because you don't need to worry about breaks. You don't need to play catch up at any point. You play catch up in 7th grade, and your grades in 7th grade actually don't matter, but it's Hunter, so everyone cares. And then from there on, your grades start to get recorded on a transcript. I would say that, what else would I say about Hunter? It's smaller, so it's much smaller than the other specialized high schools, so you get a lot more personalized attention. You literally have more words said at you a minute by your teachers than any of the other teachers. And maybe some of you are laughing at that concept, but that actually makes a huge difference. Even in young children, the number of words that are said to them when they're growing up has a huge impact on their ability to be articulate later on. So yeah. But also something else that's great is that our faculty is amazing. They went to some of the top schools in the country. So it's almost like we're receiving the education that they received. Something that's really cool about Hunter is that it's actually not run by the New York City Department of Education. It's run by CUNY. So that means that one of the perks of that is that our teachers have a little bit more freedom in the curriculum that they create. Now, you would think that maybe that gives them the opportunity to slack off a little bit, but trust me, they don't. They make the curriculum much harder than the curriculum that you would have to go through if you go to any other school. And a lot of the time, they'll incorporate a lot of material that they ran into when they were in grad school. So at the high school level, you're doing grad school work, which is amazing.
Oh, I'm Daniel. I graduated very recently from Hunter. I'm going to Johns Hopkins in the fall. It's in Baltimore, Maryland. I got a 2390 on my SAT, and yeah, that's me.
But that's also, super normal. I would say that the best way to do well on standardized tests like Regents or SATs is to put yourself into a rigorous curriculum. And the work that we do at Hunter is much harder than these other standardized tests, so we're really well prepared. So yeah.
You both are teaching here for specialized high school?
I'm teaching a Hunter class.
I'm teaching SAT.
So also just a little bit about the experience of going through Hunter. When you're with the same group of kids for 6 years and it's 200 or a little less than 200, it's actually a really great experience because everyone gets to know everyone really well, and maybe there's a few kids that you never actually say anything to, but in high school everyone sort of has their own social groups, but in terms of actually working together, I'd say that by the time you get to your freshman year, you can be paired with anyone in any kind of group setting and you'll do well because the idea of academics coming first is just a really big deal at Hunter. But it's also really great to be amongst a population of kids that are thinking about the same things that you are, you know, like how do I get to a top college? How do I commute from a place like Queens or Brooklyn or the Bronx and come to Manhattan every day? Who can I commute with? How do I get internships? Yeah. We also have a great deal of like academic support for all the different disciplines outside of the class. So for example, in the sciences specifically, we have two really awesome programs. There's the Science Research Seminar, which I was actually a part of. So that's basically a seminar that you can join starting in 9th grade. You have to apply to it. And it's like every week you meet and different like scientific speakers will come in and they'll talk about their research, or different students will present the research that they're doing, and it's a really great networking opportunity because it's a really great way to meet other researchers, and it's a really great way to get a sense of like, you know, what programs are your peers doing. So like if I'm in 9th grade and I'm listening to a 10th grade student talk about, you know, doing research at the American Museum of Natural History, I'll ask, okay, well, how do I get that internship? There's also a lot of cohesiveness in terms of lab placement. So, you know, a lot of the older kids will be working in labs at like NYU or Columbia, and so then the younger students will take their spots after the older kids graduate. That's actually what happened to me. My teaching intern in 11th grade, I was taking AP Bio. She was working at a lab at NYU, but she was graduating that year, so then the next year I took her spot, which was awesome.
Nina, what is the best advice that you can give to parents who, as their children go through grades 9 to 12, and specifically in the high school admissions process, what's the best guidance, advice you can give them moving forward the next few years ahead? You too, Daniel. Go for it.
Definitely, like, be a year ahead in terms of what your child needs to get done. So usually students will be taking the SAT their junior year. Start prepping for it your sophomore year so that you can be done with it your junior year and you don't really need to like worry about it. In 9th grade, start thinking about internships and where to sort of get yourself placed either in your sophomore year or your junior year or your senior year. I mean, for the most part, at all top schools, like everybody gets good grades, everybody has good essays, everybody has good recommendations, everybody has good test scores. But what's really gonna like distinguish you from the crowd is the activities that you get involved with outside of your classroom, because that's going to show what you're actually interested in learning about, and the fact that you've gone out of your way to seek out this kind of academic enrichment, whether that's, you know, working in a lab or working with another, or working at like the New York Society for the New York Historical Society. A lot of kids do that, or something of that caliber. That's really how you're going to stand out on your college applications. I think, like, you know, the education that you're getting in high school is really important because it's the foundation of who you are as a student when you move into college and grad school, but you want to also make sure that you're doing all the things you need to at the high school level to get into some of the best colleges in the country.
Is there a different test to get into IT?
Yeah, so it's different than the SHSAT.
Which one is it?
So it's its own test. It's called the Hunter Entrance Examination.
So you'll be getting to the 9th grade?
No,
you can only get in 7th grade.
Yeah, only
They
7th.
won't.
Nobody comes in.
No. Because the curriculum is too accelerated. It would be too much work to catch up a student who's entering in, say, 9th grade or 8th grade. Yeah, but sometimes students transfer out. That's pretty rare, though.
AP classes?
Yeah.
There are many AP classes.
Yeah. Do you wanna?
What AP classes were you specifically? We have most AP classes except for AP English and AP US History. Because our US History class, we basically cover the AP material in 10th grade. So most people already can take the test, can take the AP test after they're done with 10th grade.
Thank you guys so much, and we're gonna switch to the next school, LaGuardia High School, for the performing arts. Ready? Let's go. Ready? What is LaGuardia? Is it all dance? Are there Regents exams? What is this school? If I send my kid there, what kind of degree is that school gonna get?
All right, so we're located on Amsterdam and 64th Street on the west side. And a lot of people mistaken us for just like, if you're going for performing arts, you're either just dancing or just playing music all day, but it's completely not true. We have all of our regular academic classes, including 4 of like your studio class. So you go through an audition process. It's not through the SHSAT exam, so you don't use that exam to get into our school. It's completely separate. So you have like your public school application, your SHSAT Catholic school, and then LaGuardia is completely separate. So you go through an audition. You can either go for art, singing, dance, technical theater, which is like props and stuff for drama. And you write an essay of why you want to come to the school, what you want to do with your art later on, do you have any aspirations for college, and then they select you through there. Is anyone interested? Was anyone's child interested in going to LaGuardia? No? No? Alright, so that's it. Thank you. You're welcome.
Let's make sure we have a few notes, okay? Number 1. On July 25, we are going to visit Stuyvesant High School as a group. It's $50. It covers the bus. After that, the way things turned out, I also had Princeton University booked the same day. So we have an organized tour of Princeton, which is led by Princeton students, not the lovely elderly gentleman who led our tour last year. We decided, thank you very much, but no thank you. With that being said, we double booked for that day. So in the morning, the kids are going on the bus. We're going to Stuyvesant, and then we're going to Princeton. It's only $50 for both schools. After this course is done, for another 6 weeks, we're doing a base cost. It's $600. We would like everyone to continue for 6 more weeks. I realize this is very tiring and very exhausting on behalf of you and your kids, but we just want to make it to the test. October is a very stressful month. The SHSAT school, there's a lot of pressure in October. Let's try to get all the knowledge in September and not go into panic mode in October. So please understand the rationale behind this is so that we don't cram for this already very stressful test. Do you want to comment on anything? Parents, his daughter went to Queller and she's going to Stuyvesant. Do you want to give some quick advice to these parents?
I don't know, what can I say, you know. But my daughter, she was start last summer. That was the first year.
Yes, correct.
Color prep, say like 2 months. That was like summer program. And then she did it on a fall also for September and October. And she did excellent on SHSAT test. So she gets 579 or 589. She has a score on specialized.
And she's going to CTY right now for the summer, which is so exciting.
John Hopkins CTY program. She's
anyone who wants to go on the Harvard MIT trip, you can pay that morning as well. I really want you, remember these are really well organized tours that are student led, so it's not every day we have these opportunities. So please keep that in mind. With that being said, what advice did you give to your daughter the morning of the test? Was she nervous? Was she jittery? How many people were there? What happened the morning of the test? Remember, his daughter got it, so he knows what he's saying. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, she was nervous before, like before the test, yes, like a week before or 10 days before. But I always tell them, don't be nervous, just relax. And she was a bed even early that day before. She was a bed, I think, 7 o'clock at night. So she wake up 6 o'clock because we have to get 7 at the school was, I think, Queens on Astoria. So we reached there by 7 o'clock and, you know, so of course she wasn't nervous before, yes, but after, like, you know, she prepared all the stuff, she practiced a lot, all the books, all the couple, like 4 or 5 months. So she was really good after that.
That's good, and he's giving you a holy benediction and blessing. May your child get into the specialized high school in Pittsburgh.
I have my other son also.
We have his second child is here right now.
He's doing also the.
Let's hope for the best. I think we hit all the main schools right now. Do you guys have any last-minute questions that you want to go over? Yes.
Actually, do you do something like this for the students who are taking the training right now?
Our actual students are so inundated with the teachers and the instructors, and we do a lot while they're in class, which is why this particular workshop is just for the parents to be on the same page as the kids. But our instructors themselves went to specialized high schools and they talk about it and we move them around. The first day we introduced everyone to...
I think it's really good interaction to have them hear from the students themselves and to be able to ask these questions.
Yeah, definitely. It goes on in class, but what we could do is, as we get a little less structured, because we're in a really tight schedule with what the material, but we can definitely have the tutors move around the rooms and, you know, talk to the kids. But it is done quite a bit. We had a guest speaker just the other day, a Stuyvesant graduate, a Yale graduate, and she went into each room and spoke to the kids about how Yale pre-med is not that hard because she went to Stuyvesant. So we do actually, whenever we have the opportunity, this is a small program, so we do everything we can, and we're able to move. It's flexible because it's controlled by my dictatorship.
Yeah,
so, okay, I'm really glad you guys are here. And keep in mind, I highly encourage you, let's try to do the tour. Remember the 25th, it's $50 for the tour. After Harvard, MIT, we'll probably just do all tours at $50. It's just this particular one was a little on the pricey side because we did book 2 schools. We're leaving, 8:45 a.m. Everyone has to be here. We're on the bus at 9. We have a 2-hour MIT tour from 1 to 3. And then we are at Harvard at 3:30 on the dot for a 1-hour tour. So we have a very tight schedule Friday. 10, okay? It's going to be a long day.
Wow.
We are going to Harvard and MIT this Friday. It's 2 schools, it's $100, it's 2 schools. After these 2 schools, then it'll be $50 a school. But this particular one, we have 2 very well organized tours. If you're able to do it, you pay that morning, just get on the bus. The bus is ready, okay? We're ready to go. And the kids, I think at this age, oh, you went on multiple tours.
I went to all the Princeton, Yale, and Harvard.
Which one was your favorite?
My favorite, I like Yale.
Yale, yes, Yale was great. So this will be an MIT one, so this is a very special tour, okay?
But it is really help to the kids,
yes.
You know, because that way they can, mind is a little bit strong. Oh,
His
I want
son
to go
saw
to the
Harvard Medical School,
yes.
He loved it, he's in my YouTube
He said, I
video.
want to go to the Harvard, that's why his dream. Let's see what's come true and
So
not.
you take the kids with you?
Yes, all the time.
So if you have friends with older children, we are hosting a college night on July 31st, and my personal friend is doing me a favor, an NYU admissions officer. He's coming in and he's going to speak to you just about how to get into competitive colleges, along with a bunch of other people, the tutors, Harvard graduates. They're going to talk to you about it. So that'll be on the 31st. That usually we just give it to the older kids. I just want you to be aware that we are hosting that here as
When
well.
is the 31st?
That'll be the 31st. I'm not sure if you've already attended or not, but it's a great workshop. So we try. I don't know what the future brings with this program, but we try, okay? And keep that in mind that, good luck, okay? Thank you guys.